Wisdom is earned. I'm just passing it on. Progress. We call it progress. We call it the march of history. But if you open the chest cavity of the modern world, you won't find a beating heart. You will find a collection of rusted gears, over-leveraged debts, and a biological species that has forgotten how to breathe without a machine. This is File 06, the autopsy of progress. Today, we are not looking at what we have built. We are looking at why it is already dead. We are living in a corpse that hasn't realized it has flatlined. Look at the skyline. You see towers of glass and concrete, symbols of our triumph over nature. I see a massive accumulation of maintenance debt. Every concrete monolith you admire is built on a lie. Concrete has a lifespan. Rebar rusts. The very materials we use to build our eternity are designed to fail within a human lifetime. We have built a world that requires constant, perfect care to remain standing, and we have long since stopped paying the bill. This is the first stage of the autopsy, structural hubris. We believed that complexity was the same thing as power. We thought that by connecting everything, we became invincible. In reality, we just made the collapse more efficient. A 19th century farmer could survive a total state failure because his life was local. Your life is a global calculation. You depend on minerals from Africa, code from Asia, and energy from a grid that is held together by hope and duct tape. Progress didn't make you stronger. It made you a passenger on a ship with no lifeboats. The biological autopsy is even more grim. Look at yourself. You are a biological entity, evolved for the forest and the savanna, trapped in a brutalist cage of neon and silicon. We have traded our physical resilience for digital convenience. We have eyes that can only see at the distance of a screen and hands that have forgotten the texture of the earth. We are zoo animals who have forgotten that the bars of our cage are made of electricity. When the power goes, the animal remains, but the survival instincts are gone. We call our economic system growth. In biology, growth that never stops is called a cancer. We are consuming the very foundations of our habitat to satisfy a digital number on a stock ticker. We have hollowed out our soils, poisoned our waters, and burned our atmospheres to fuel a machine that produces nothing but waste and noise. This is the metabolic failure of progress. We are eating ourselves alive, and we call the result prosperity. The second stage of the autopsy reveals the rot in our logistics. We created a world where no one knows where their water comes from or where their waste goes. We have outsourced our survival to a ghost in the machine. Just-in-time delivery is the ultimate expression of our arrogance. It assumes that the weather will always be calm, the fuel will always be cheap, and the people will always be compliant. It is a system with zero margin for error. In the autopsy of progress, this is the fatal wound, a lack of internal reserves. Think about the high-trust society. It was the lubricant of our progress. You trust that the bank has your money. You trust that the tap has your water. You trust that the police will answer the phone. This trust is not a law of nature. It is a temporary side effect of abundance. When the abundance vanishes, the trust evaporates instantly. The social contract is not written in stone. It is written in surplus calories. Take away the surplus, and the contract is torn up by hungry hands. By the fourth day of a total system failure, the autopsy is complete. The city reveals its true nature as a massive, brutalist tomb. Without the constant input of energy and maintenance, the concrete starts to feel like a weight rather than a shield. The heat vanishes. The water becomes a poison. The information vacuum becomes a weapon. You realize that progress was just a temporary state of high energy consumption. Once the energy is gone, the progress disappears, leaving only the ruins of our hubris. We are a species of scavengers living in the shell of a dead god. We use tools we can't repair and systems we don't understand. We have built an empire of glass on a foundation of sand. The autopsy shows that the cause of death was not an external attack, but internal organ failure. The systems grew too large to be managed, too complex to be understood. We simply outgrew our own ability to survive. Progress was a one-way street. There is no easy way back to the farm or the well. We have destroyed the skills and the local infrastructures that once allowed us to endure. We have burned the bridges behind us, believing we would never need to return. Now, as the lights flicker and the gears grind to a halt, we find ourselves trapped on the far side of history with nowhere to go. The ruins of the future are the graveyards of the present. You must stop being a consumer and start being a survivor. You must learn to read the ruins. Understand that the things you call waste, the rusted iron, the abandoned concrete, the discarded tools, are the only resources you have left. The autopsy of progress is your field manual for the future. Learn why it died so you can avoid its fate. Build small. Build local. Build redundant. These are the only things that survive the fall of monoliths. The machine is cold. The pulse has stopped. The digital numbers have vanished into the darkness. All that remains is the concrete, the fog, and the knowledge you carry in your mind. Do not mourn the progress that has failed you. It was never your friend. It was a predator that fed on your autonomy. Now that the predator is dead, you are free to be human again. But being human requires effort. It requires resilience. It requires the truth. The autopsy is over. The results are clear. We died of our own success. We built a world we couldn't sustain, and we ignored the warning signs until the silence became absolute. Now, the wind blows through the empty skyscrapers, and the fog covers the rusted tracks. The era of progress is a closed file. The era of survival has begun. This was Professor Soul. Knowledge is your last defense.